Why are you here? Why am I here? Why does your business exist? And why does ABM exist? I don't mean to be overly dramatic, but those really are the fundamental questions I've been asking myself in the 18 months that I've been here. And I'll be honest, I'm not going to stand up here and tell you that I have the answers. But I do think I have some recommendations on some questions we should be asking ourselves that are vital to answering that question as individual companies. And I think intuitively that now is a critical time to do that, because I genuinely believe this is a great time to be in B2B. It may not be that obvious to us now, but this feels to me like an inflection point. I'm going to put this in safe zone so that Steve and Andy don't punish me later. This feels to me like one of those times where we don't know it now, we're all concerned, there's lots of turmoil and there's lots of confusion. And let's use the stock market as a metaphor. Some people are buying in and some people are not. And 18 months from now, I think we're going to look back and say, that was a great time to be in the market. But you never see that until 18 months later with hindsight. But I intuitively, and we'll talk about why, I intuitively feel that right now is genuinely a great time to be in B2B. There are so many things that Jack talked about that we're going to talk about here that unlock incredible capabilities, and B2B is at the center of community and the center of the ability to drive this. I genuinely believe, in an English term, it's ours to lose. But before I dive in, I'm going to talk about a fictitious pig farmer magazine in a minute as a metaphor for this journey. This could easily be Pig Farmer Trade Show. This could be Pig Farmer Business Information Commodity Service. Doesn't really matter. I've chosen one metaphor. But before we do that, unfortunately, you have a test. Now, I promise it's a very short test, and I think it's the only test in the entire conference. But I am going to ask that you really concentrate for a minute or two on this test, because at the end of it, I'm going to ask for a raise of hands to see who got which result. Now, if you've seen this test before, you can sit this out, that's fine. But what you're about to see is a short video, and I'd like you to look at the team wearing white and count the number of times they pass the ball. Team wearing white, how many times do they pass the ball? Can you back up? You've passed it. Okay, go forward. And forward one from there.
This is a test of selective attention.
Volume up.
Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball. How many passes did you count?
Okay, so show of hands. How many counted 13? Okay, a few. How many counted 14? Okay. How many counted 15? Larger majority. 15 is the right answer. How many saw the gorilla? Okay, now, those who saw the gorilla, keep your hands up. Everyone else, look around the room. For those who didn't see the gorilla,
how many passes did you count? The correct answer is 15 passes. But did you see the gorilla? This video is from research by Daniel Simons and Christopher Chabris.
87% who see that. Now, in a broader audience, it doesn't work as well for some reason, but 87% of people who see that don't see the gorilla. I didn't see the gorilla the first time I saw this. So what's the point, other than being kind of fun? It's a natural reaction. Our brain is overloaded with information. It's a normal defensive mechanism. We ignore things that we're not concentrating on because if our brain didn't do that, we would be overloaded with the sights and sounds and smells and things that we deal with. It's just how our brains work. And so my question is it possible that we are viewing our businesses in a way that we don't see the gorillas that are right in front of us, opportunities that are right in front of us, that the competition, which I would argue is not inside this room, will see. They'll naturally see it because they're not busy counting and managing all the balls that we've always been doing. They're not focusing in the way that we are in a very trained way to look at our business. And what does this have to do with pig farmers? We'll get to the pork in a minute. I think the challenge with this, quite frankly, is the way that we're trained to look at businesses. This will be a little dry for a moment, but bear with me. Traditional kind of business view is to say, all right, the core of what I do, what's in the center of the circle, is my product, my service, my unique selling proposition, my features and functions and things that allow me to do something different than anyone else did. And then surrounding that are various enabling strengths, things that are important and they help drive that unique selling proposition, but they're not critical, they're not the core of what you do. And surrounding that are supporting activities, which are options for outsourcing, variabilizing costs, things like that. They're necessary evils, but they aren't necessarily the real heart of what we do. And that's the traditional way I think most people look at their businesses and are trained to. And so if we're going to look at this fictitious pig farmer magazine, one model would say, well, content in journalism and advertising, and even if it's magazine online, it's the same thing. And you surround that with some very important supporting strengths, editorial, circulation, ad sales, for example. And then there are additional things on the outside, production, printing, IT support, etc., that we all have to have in one form or another, but maybe we would outsource them. And I think of businesses as basically all having fundamentally four functions, right? First of all, there's R&D. What is my product? Where does it need to evolve? What's my service? How do I then develop that product over some sort of a roadmap to keep it viable and evolving in the marketplace? How do I go out in marketing? How do I create and find and develop the audience that needs it? And sales. And so in this model, we might say, well, R&D is really journalism, development of ideas. Product development is editorial. Marketing in this model is really audience development. I would argue it is creation of a product and then finding people to which it's relevant. It's not creating a market and creating demand. It's just a different way of looking at marketing. And the sales is mostly ad sales in this model. The problem with this whole view, in my opinion, is where's the beef? Where's the pig farmer? If this is Pig Farmer Magazine, and that's how we view our business, and that's what's core to it, the core audience, which we're all about, isn't on that slide. It's somewhere buried under there, in journalism, et cetera, but it's not highly centered. And if we define our businesses by what we do, if I'm all about the what, I'm all about content journalism, I'm all about exhibitions, I'm an exhibition company, I hear that from a lot of people, I'm a business information company, I'm a media company, that's what I do, that's my reason for being here, then it's a challenging evolution because you look at that and you say, well, it's under threat. There's fragmentation of access for our audience to get content, information, face-to-face, et cetera. There are multiple different channels. They're self-serving. We've lost control. Marketers are going direct. We're being disintermediated. And the current market intelligence, which I'll touch on some more in a minute, but in a traditional magazine world or in a CERT kind of world, that's who did my product go to? That level, and even in the digital world, how many uniques, what's the size of my online audience? I would argue these are not yet sufficient depth of market intelligence in today's world. They were in the past, and they aren't now. Similar issues for business information and events. I would argue that the problem is that's a boring and wrong way to look at our business. And for me, that's not how I intuitively looked at it, because I didn't come from this business. So I started with just a completely different perspective. You may know of an author named Simon Sinek, who, among other things, wrote a book called Start With Why. He's a great presenter. He's commonly known. He's no genius, and this is not a genius model. It's just a really simple way of thinking about businesses differently, and I think it's kind of compelling. What Simon Sinek says is, start with why. The center of what you do is why your business is here, and that people buy why your business and why your products exist, not what they are, not the features and the functions, but what the purpose is, what you're trying to achieve in life as a business. And then surrounding that is how you do it. And the last thing in the circle is what the individual product is. That's the least important in this model. So let's just take a minute and watch a short extract from Simon at a recent TED conference.
But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You ready to buy a computer from me? All I did was reverse the order of the information. People don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat-screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat-screen TVs. They've been making flat-screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products. And nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe.
So if I was in the audience right now, I might be thinking, great, all I need to do is be as successful as the largest company on the planet, and everything's pretty easy to do. So it's obviously easy to pick Apple and say, ooh, just be like Apple, and we'll all be massively successful. I get that. But Apple wasn't always like that. Apple went through some seriously dark periods. So did Pixar. And there were complete reinventions of those businesses driven by Steve Jobs, fundamentally because he got every single person in that company to understand and agree why they were there. And by doing that, every single person in the company is part of moving the company forward. Decisions are made faster. What products to launch are made faster. There is a context that everyone understands. So let's talk about just a couple of other examples before we come back to the pork.